Alrighty. Welcome everyone once again to today's webinar on the new DLC application portal that involves the new NLC online application. We're very excited to share with you this new functionality that we've added for the NLC application processing system. Today's team is a group of DLC specialists here. You'll have myself, Bernadette Boudreau, the Associate Director of Operations here at the DLC presenting, along with Bagwat, who many of you are very familiar with, who's the Senior Technical Operation Analyst for the NLC program. We will have a Q&A open throughout the entire webinar, and Aaron Feldman, a Senior Technical Operations Analyst, as well as Levin Knott, a Senior Technical Manager at the DLC, will be managing the Q&A. Please put your questions and answers in the box at any time. Just a little logistics on today's webinar. The slides and the recorded webinar will be posted on the DLC website shortly after today's presentation. So you will be able to review this after the webinar. All attendees will be automatically muted. And if you are experiencing any technical issues, please use the chat feature to let us know. As I stated before, the Q&A will be open through the entire webinar. Please go ahead and place all of your questions in the Q&A chat box, and we will be sure to answer those. At the end of the webinar, we'll choose a few of those questions to respond to as a group with the entire audience, if we feel that there's some relevant information to share with the group. But go ahead and answer questions as we go through the webinar. Today's agenda will follow. We'll go through the portal overview and timeline. We'll go through the process of the application submittal and what has changed. We'll also review our new application dashboard and the MyDLC portal that you'll be accessing during this application submittal. We'll go through the process of how to submit applications and also some details about messaging and communication within applications. And then we'll share some slides on where you can find a lot of the resources such as today's webinar. So let's start with the just high-level overview of what's going on here. So who will this affect? What is it? When would it happen? And where does all this take place? Well, who it affects is anyone who is submitting an NLC application as an OEM, new, OEM update, private label, or a private label update. Of course, updates are for products that are already listed on the QPL. In the future, we will be having a more detailed process on dual listing and also more information on the renewal process when you renew your listings that are already listed on the QPL. So what is this new NLC application portal? Well, instead of using the Excel form that you've used before, what Bagwat and the team has done is designed a very streamlined and more user-friendly interface for application submittal. That includes a new submitter dashboard and a new web form for submitting all the information and reference documents that you utilize in your application. On August 4th, we launched this new portal. So you can now start submitting applications through the NLC new portal currently. Applications and invoices will no longer be processed in the old portal or via email. All this will now occur in the new portal. Where does this occur? How do you get to this? Well, if you log into your MyDLC, you will see two buttons for the new application portal and the old application portal. If you had access to the old application portal, you will be automatically given access to the new application portal. So when you log in, you will see the two buttons that I'm showing in the lower right-hand corner, and you will be able to click on the new application portal button to enter the new NLC application system. So let's talk about what has changed. As I stated before, this application is now fully online and it has a lot of user-friendly capability. We will no longer be using the Excel form and no longer be using email for submitting applications or documentation surrounding an application. All communication with the reviewer and with yourselves, the submitters of these applications, will all be done in the new portal. The old portal will no longer be used. Updates applications, similar to how we did with the old system, we will now do the updates where we auto-populate previously submitted info online. So instead of us having to populate another Excel document, this information will be automatically populated in the system to make the update process a lot more easier for you to go through. So let's talk about the process flow. There are some changes here. There will be an initial and comprehensive review for any new OEM and update applications. After you submit the application, you will undergo an initial review. After the initial review, you will be sent an invoice. And upon payment of that invoice, there will be a comprehensive review. Within that comprehensive review includes your system presentation, as well as your customer interview, which was already a part of the previous process. Once the comprehensive review is complete, your system will then be published to the QPL. Now that differs slightly for private label and private label update applications. Private label applications will not have an initial review. After application submission, it will go through a comprehensive review. And after this comprehensive review, you will be issued an invoice. And once that invoice is paid, your system will automatically be published to the QPL. You can see more information on the application process online, as we have updated a lot of this information for the NLC program on the new website. If it's not there, it will be coming short. Let's also do a reminder on what the difference is between an OEM and private label application. An OEM system is typically qualified by the OEM or original equipment manufacturer. This submission requires a full set of documentation to prove that you meet the technical requirements. A private label, however, is a manufacturer who wishes to qualify a system that is identical, keyword identical, to a system that's already qualified and published on the QPL. Private label systems can also choose to have their systems listed as an OEM, but if you choose to do that, you would have to undergo the full OEM process and provide a full set of documentation to prove that the system meets the technical requirements. As I stated earlier, we will be having a dual listing system coming soon. Once this is launched, you will be able to qualify a system for both interior and exterior at the same time and using the same process. There will be a separate application for each scope. However, there will be a streamlined process to qualify the second system, because you will only have to answer specific questions that are applicable to the system you are trying to qualify. Therefore, if you have already answered the questions that are the same for interior and exterior and are now submitting an exterior system, you will only have to submit and answer the exterior specific questions. This functionality will be coming soon, and we will be making an announcement on this functionality and ensuring that some of this documentation is available so that you can get through that process very smoothly. Let's talk about manufacturing accounts. During the application submittal process, you can have several people submit on your behalf, or you can also control your company internally now. You will no longer need a separate login or username or password for the new application portal. You will be able to use the same password that you used initially. Now, if you had administrative access to the company, you will be able to do things like change the company settings. What this allows you to do is add or edit users that are within the company and also give different types of approval levels. Other users associated with your company will be able to submit on your behalf if you allow them access to your company profile. And this is sometimes important for private label applications. If you are a user and you need to request access to another company, when you click on your name in the upper right-hand corner of the My DLC website, you will see a button that says My Add Organization. By clicking on that button and filling out some key information, you will be able to submit a request to the super admin of that company, who can allow you access to that company if they so choose to. Note that users with limited access will not have access to change and remove users. They, however, will be able to view and submit the applications that they have submitted themselves. Users who have super admin or admin access can actually view all applications for the company. not just the ones that they have submitted. So please keep this in mind when you're assigning the permissions to your different users. Limited access allows for only applications that you have submitted, and super admin allows you to see all applications for the company. I want to keep in mind that private label applications require you to submit the applications under the manufacturer name that you intend for the system to be listed under. When selecting a private label application, you must ensure you select that manufacturer in the dropdown. If that manufacturer is not a part of your profile settings, as I stated in the previous slide, you can add that company to your profile. Please make sure that you select the private label manufacturer you are listing for, because this ensures that the QPL listing is correct and also ensures that any private label agreements that will be discussed later on in this presentation are correct. If you do submit an application under the wrong manufacturer, it will be rejected and you will be required to submit a new application. So please keep that in mind before you take the time to submit all those materials. Let's go into the application dashboard. This is a new view on how you can take a look at everything that's going on with your application, including submittal. You will now see that there's a new section on the left-hand bar for network lighting controls. This will allow you to select the application type that you want to submit for. You see also under recent application, I've highlighted some star buttons. These are your favorite buttons. If you would like to see some applications show up at the top of your recent application list, you can simply select the stars and they will be highlighted yellow, and those applications will always appear at the top of your My Application list. I'll go into some more detail on some of the other sections of this dashboard as I get through the presentation. Let's talk about My Applications. Once again, depending on your access, you will be able to see either your applications or all of your company's application in this area. This shows a compressed view when you first open the dashboard. However, if you click on View All Applications, it will take you to a larger dashboard. And what you can do here is you can actually search for an application. You can sort by the different statuses. And the great thing that you can also do is export a summary of all your application data. That does not include the application data and files that you've submitted, but just information about the application itself that you can download into an Excel export. At this time, I'll transfer it over to Bagwat, and Bagwat will discuss the notification section of the My DLC portal.
Thanks, Bernadette. So in this tab, you'll see all the notifications pertaining to the applications you have tied to your account. Next slide. Here, moving on to invoicing. So this is available in the dashboard, and an invoice is issued for new applications when the initial review is complete, and you'll receive an email notification that it's awaiting payment. There are two ways to access the invoice. One is at the bottom right, where you want to pay directly for this specific application, or you can move to the payment center. Next slide, please. This is the payment center where you have the history of all invoices that's tied to your account. You have two tables. One on the top is the open invoices that needs to be paid, and at the bottom you see all the paid invoice history. This field is also searchable by application name, application ID, or keywords like SSL, NLC, or HOT. You can click on view to download the invoice and pass it on to your accounts payable team if needed. Once the payment is made, the invoice status changes to paid, and this automatically moves the application to comprehensive review in progress, and the reviewer will be notified. So now we are moving on to the focus area of this session, how to submit applications. Next slide, please. There are a few ways to start a new application. One is on the left through the application center. You click on network lighting controls, it will expand the list of the different application types. And you select, you'll see the black pop-up box where you enter the application name. And you select the manufacturer. This is for testing labs or other people who have authorization to submit on behalf of multiple manufacturers. You make sure that you select the right manufacturer on behalf of whom you are submitting the application. The other way to get to this pop-up is through the box in the center. You select the right application type. This is the application details page where you get an overview of the application, like who's the reviewer assigned, what is the application ID, and the application status as it progresses through each stage. And this is also the page where you'll be communicating with the reviewers. And when invoices are issued, you'll see them pop up here. And there's also the application progress, which I'll explain a little bit in detail soon. And on the right, you have the start application that takes you to the questionnaire. So this is the first page where you enter high-level information regarding the application and you select the application type, which is interior or exterior, that drives the requirements and the questionnaire. The required questions are labeled and that need a response. Next slide, please. Here is a section table that allows quick navigation and jumping between sections as you're filling out the questionnaire. They are initially all great, but as you meet the requirements of each section, they start greening in. You complete the full section and you see the red labels as initial review and comprehensive review for better understanding of when an initial review is complete, how much of the application has been reviewed. The second page is where you upload all the application documents that you'll be referencing in the application. And as stated here, you will have the option to add additional files as you fill out the questionnaire. It is recommended that you give meaningful names to these files because in an average, an application has 50 to 60 files. So while you're filling out the application, it will be easier for you to reference them in your application. Now, entering the technical requirements itself. So this is technically the beginning of the NLC 5 application where you fill out and claim the capabilities. The required capabilities and questions are labeled. Note that every response requires a reference citation. So a reference widget is triggered based on the responses you make in the application. And each response needs a file and a citation. Multiple files can be referenced. You have an option to view the file that you are referencing. If it's a large file with many pages, that would help you identify which page number you want to cite in the question. And we have added this level of validation and governance to ensure application completeness and accuracy, and this allows us to qualify systems more efficiently. Next slide, please. So once you have completed the application form, the final step is agreeing to the terms of use. You agree, and following which you'll be able to submit the application. This is the application progress tracker on the left, which is customized based on the type of application you select. They are initially grayed, and as you complete each step, it starts changing to green. This is for better transparency and visibility for the submitter to understand the full review process and where their application stands and what are the action items for them on their end. Next slide, please. For systems that exist in the QPL today, that will be submitting the update applications. You select the right application type and you have a drop down where you'll see all the systems tied to your organization account. You select the system that you would like to update. So we have simplified the process for updates. So this is the first question you'll see, like what are the sections that you want to update? And as you check the boxes, you'll see on the right those sections start opening up. And there's a link to the QPL of the system if you would like to review the product information that exists in the QPL today. The responses are populated from the QPL in the application, but for all the sections that you're updating, you would need to complete the full section. For private label applications, make sure you select the right application type. And the dropdown is similar. The main difference is you'll see all the systems that's published in the QPL today for you to select which system you would be private labeling. And this field is also searchable by manufacturer, system name, or product ID. So to qualify as a private label, the system should be identical to the OEM system in the components, functionalities, and performance. So the only allowed changes would be the compatible luminaires, kits, and lamps in the individual addressability section and LLC, wherein the private label company may have partnerships with fixture manufacturers not covered by OEM. And similar to updates, you have a link to view the QPL of the OEM listing to review the product data. So if you're picking one of the two sections, if you'd like to update the compatible luminaires information, this is the first question you'll see where you'll be asked to submit the product spec sheet that contains the private label system name as an ordering option. And if you're making any changes to this, you complete this, and the following section would be manufacturer and system information, where you'll enter all the information pertaining to the private label system. And be sure to upload the warranty document for us to verify the 5-year warranty. This is one other important change in the private label process. The private label agreement form is now integrated to the application. The PDF files are no longer accepted. So as part of the application, when you're filling out for private label, there is a section where you'll be asked the contact information of OEM and private label representatives who are authorized to sign this form. Only when both parties have signed this form, the application is actually submitted and the review begins. And as a private labeler, if you're not assigned, designated to sign this form, you have the option to delegate it to someone else within your organization. Next slide, please. We are coming close to the final segment of the session. So we have seen the application dashboard, how to submit applications, invoicing, and the different application types. This is one important piece that happens in the review process, that's communication with the reviewers. Next slide, please. Comments can be entered after the application is submitted. So if you have any questions while you're filling out the application or with technical requirements, you can email us at info@designlights.org. So this is the comments box where you'll see comments from the reviewer, and this is also the space where you can enter comments. There's an option to enter comments and directly resubmit the application. When an application is in reviewer message awaiting status, there are option to comment and resubmit the application, but the message would reach the reviewer, but it would not change the status of the application itself. Next slide, please. So you'll receive an email notification that the reviewer message is awaiting response to know that an iteration of review has been performed. On the right, if you see, you'll see a small messaging icon for all the sections that have reviewer notes. So that is for quick identification of the sections that need action. Now, once you click on it, all the reviewer notes are available at the top of each page with the questions. From here on, you have two actions that you can do. You can make all the changes in the application, and as you can see on the top right, you can submit the application. Or if you have any questions on the reviewer's notes, or you would like to make any clarifications, you can make changes in the application, click on Save Progress and Exit. That will take you to the comments log where you can enter your comments. These resources are available on the website like Bernadette mentioned. Next slide, please. And this session is also being recorded, and we'll be adding some video tutorials and how-to guides from what we have seen today for guidance and useful resources to help you through the submission process. If you have any questions in the meantime or any feedback, feel free to write us at info@designlights.org. We have incorporated your suggestions and feedback that we have received over the years, and we have tried to make the process more simplified and user-friendly. We hope you like it. We'd like to hear your feedback on your experience. Now, I would like to open up the room for questions. I'll check in with my folks if there is any.
Please go ahead and put your questions in the chat. I think back while we're waiting, one thing I do want to point out is on the private label agreement, when you are assigned or when you have assigned someone to sign a DocuSign, there will be a notification sent from DocuSign asking you to sign that application. That notification will include the application code and a link that sends you directly into DocuSign where you can log in. And then at that time, you can sign the agreement electronically. And as Bagwat stated, both signatures on the private label agreement need to be complete before the application is fully submitted. Until both of those signatures are complete, the application will still remain in awaiting signature status. Once the DocuSign agreement is complete, the application status will change to application submitted. All right. Bagwat, any other tools and tips you want to share with the group that you haven't potentially shared already?
Yeah, I could probably mention about the dual listing that's coming soon. If you have an interior or an exterior scope qualified and you're looking to qualify for the scope counterpart, that should be up soon. So that would be more simplified, where the process will be more streamlined. So you would need to go through the full OEM qualification process. So this is a request we received from a few manufacturers we are working on. So if you're planning to add the other scope, please hold on for a while and we'll send out an announcement soon.
Bagwat, there was one more question that came into the chat. A question of, are the listed systems available in the portal for update currently?
Yes.
Yes. So essentially when submitters go to an update application, all of the currently listed systems will show up in the drop-down if they are associated with your organization. Okay. What was the rationale for adding DocuSign? Is another question, Bagwat.
DocuSign existed before we had it in the process, but it was outside. It was a separate PDF document that needs to be submitted. And the reason for adding that is for verification with the OEM that this is an authorized private label and the OEM is aware of it. Now we have integrated it to the system, so it's not done manually, separately offline.
Correct. Okay. Please continue to insert your questions. One more, Bagwat. Are you able to add additional products to an existing system with an update?
Products, if you mean components, yes. And what gets reflected in the QPL is how these components are modifying the functionalities. The QPL features the functionalities of the system. But you can submit an update application if you'd like to update the products. If you're adding new sensors, you can do that.
Okay, great question. Please continue to submit your questions in the Q&A. Once again, just like the feedback we're getting and the questions we're asking that people are asking as of this moment, if you have any questions or maybe want to get a little more in-depth review of the process, please reach out to info@, and Bagwell will be responding and getting back to you on additional information. And then once we have the additional resources posted, we'll also be sending out some notifications to let you know that those resources are also available to you.
Probably give 1 more minute.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns over the new portal? I will say I've submitted applications myself, and the process is very streamlined and user-friendly. We hope that you also enjoy the new additions to this system. As Bagwell said, it incorporates a lot of the suggestions that were made, which included, being able to upload multiple files at the same time, being able to reference files for various locations and things of that nature, and just making the visibility of the reference documents more available to you as you go through the various questions to describe your system's functionality. And the next question is, will the portal be changed for the SSL items? Yes, sir. The actual SSL portal and horticulture new portal have already launched. So you can submit applications for SSL and Hort in the new portal using that same new portal button that you have access to. And then on the left-hand bar, you can select between SSL, horticulture, and now network lighting systems, depending on the type of application you want to submit. Any other tools or tips you want to share, Bagwell?
I think that's about it. I'm looking forward to hearing feedback from you. Like Bernadette mentioned, feel free to write us. Yeah, we are looking forward to your experience, hearing about your experience.
Absolutely.
If we have no other questions, I guess that concludes this webinar.
Okay. Thank you very much
Thank you
for joining.
again.
Yes. And please look for these slides to be posted on the website if you want to review them. Thank you once again.
Thank you.